So we're back with Ron Hughes from Cal State Bakersfield, and before we took the break, we started getting as far as some of the ongoing experiences and a continuum and some of the stuff that goes in elementary, middle school that sort of gets lost at the high school. And there's a lot of things that go on a lot of high school that gets driven by the University of California and California State University A through G system, which seems to be driving a lot of the curriculum. And one of the things that I've made an observation that I get a lot of criticism about from folks, particularly certain folks within the minority community or economically disadvantaged communities, as far as having the kids being in non-A through G classes as far as applied learning that have difficulty getting an A through G designation. And one of the things that I have stated that a lot of those kids, as you talked about the support and stuff, they don't have the frame of references in in their communities as more affluent kids do, that for success in purely theoretical type learning situations. And I always say, yeah, you may be spinning in some time of a delay, but those applied courses give the students an experience that they may normally not get, where the kids from more affluent communities get those experiences.
Yeah, interesting problem, because the there was a point, when I entered the public school teaching, it was about 1980, 1981, and at that point, teachers had more control of their curriculum,
Right.
and we could focus in perhaps a little better on our areas of expertise and
Right.
interest. And what I really appreciated in my early days of teaching were all of the efforts systematically, including the training of teachers out there. There was a gentleman named Frank, I think it was Frank Coletta, who was at the Chancellor's office for the CSU system. And he always, what I liked about this man as I got to know him, is that he was always looking for innovative ways to reach the needs of the kids.
Right.
So as you mentioned, we were having a conversation earlier about alternative pathways to
Right.
credentialing, and how do you get people into the classroom that can make it come alive, that may be more appropriate in terms of their background and
Right.
technology, et cetera. And Frank was one of those individuals that recognized that in order to meet the needs of our diverse
Right.
population, especially in California, is that we needed to sometimes think outside the box.
Right.
And so, what happens is, one of the things that I struggled with under No Child Left Behind
Right.
was that there was an apparent abandonment of science, definitely of geography and even the earth sciences and things along that line, and it was very conspicuous what was happening in that. And so now with the next generation science standards, I really see an opportunity
Right.
for us to get back to the things that both are valued and appreciated by teachers, and I think would be appreciated and really usable by our diverse population of students. So, what happens? I guess there are regions across the United States that do not, when they look at their curriculum, they would there are areas that allow 10, 20, 30%
Right.
of the curriculum to be prescribed by the local
Right.
school district. And I quite frankly like that model, that it frees up the teachers. We have a core set of standards that we
Right.
work through, by which we can compare
Right.
districts and teachers, et cetera. But yet there's maybe 30% of the curriculum that could allow for the individual needs. Even if you look at the urban versus rural
Right.
criteria, because students that are raised in rural environments have really quite different experiences than do students that have in urban areas. And by allowing for diversity in the curriculum out there, I think
Right.
we could probably better meet the needs of our students. And the things that you do, Mark, with with the geospatial science, get into it, I think is right in line with what our students need to know. The type of experiences that their ability to utilize that curricula, the material, the technology,
Right.
because it can, what happens is that experience can transition into
Right.
other technologies, other sciences is, and that's probably been one of the goals of science for probably for decades. In terms of, do you have a skill set that as the economy changes, as our industries change in the United States, can students transition as needed? I mean, not to belabor this, but you look at what happened with the steel industry as we moved our steel industry exported. So you have states like Pennsylvania, et cetera, that have had to retool. It's not a matter that we can go in and build up the old industry, because we have new technologies and things that are out there. So it's very important for students to be able to get a good basis in the technology, but that technology also needs to be transferable.
Right. And I want to go a little bit back, because there's a number of things that you touched as far as on that response. Is you talked about as far as on the prescriptiveness on curriculum.
Yep.
And in the last couple years, the Commission on Teaching Credentialing,
Yep.
Where you've got an experienced teacher, when they want to add an authorization and take the coursework in the content area,
Yes.
they are now requiring that they take a methods class in that new content area. Now, as a person who taught science methods for teacher training, I like to get your opinion about this new requirement by the Commission of Teaching Credential for experienced teachers who pick up the knowledge in a new content area, want to put the authorization, expand what they can teach, but now you've got go to take a course to learn how to teach the content.
Yeah, I wish I knew the rules that you were talking about a little bit better, but I do understand the Commission's trying to do a quality control on this. I mean, one of the things that like for me, because I, even though my background is biology, I self-taught myself in technology, and so by having my taught technology courses at the college level, and because I have the PhD, oftentimes I'm authorized to be able to do those type of things. But so now the Commission has a problem. How do you take somebody that is self-taught in the technology, yet they perhaps they have a credential in either only math or particular sciences and go beyond?
I think really where it's coming in, probably 75% of the cases, is that teachers with older credentials, and again, this came from No Child Left Behind, on the supplemental authorizations, didn't have enough, and as they reshuffled that, they had been teaching in those subjects. They just need to take the praxis or whatever the test to add it on for a full credential as they did more slicing and dicing. And for a number of years, fine, you passed the exam and stuff, but now you've got an awful lot of teachers, even though they've been teaching that subject, but the number of units changed to be able to teach it.
Yes. So again, I understand where you're going, and if I understood the actual rules and limitations in doing that, I could probably respond a little bit better. But something like technology, what we know in technology changes so rapidly. I used to advise my students, I ran the master's program out at CSUB in education for probably 9 years, spread out over a couple of decades. And one thing that I used to advise students is that they could get a master's in a particular area, curriculum and instruction, et cetera. But if they wanted to pick an area like technology, technology changes so rapidly that if you're out of the field for 2 years, you're antiquated, you're outdated, so it's a matter of staying in. At the same time, I've had a number of my master's students that took that pathway as a technology emphasis, and what happens is within a 2-year period, they could become masters, at that level.
So we'll take another break, and I want to pursue this as far as the preparation and with the technological change when we come back.